Hey guys, welcome back to Stryfe the Show. It's episode 3. It's very crazy to believe that it's been about 3 months since I've done my last podcast interview. But that being said, we're now switching dojos. We're going from Miyagi to Cobra Kai. But before I bring my guest up, you guys know I have to always do a really great intro. He played the role Alex Swallow in the series Hit the Road. He's also playing Eric in the upcoming film Dead, which is now playing in select film theaters around the US. He was also Aedin in Critical Role, Downfall Parts 1 through 3. And you guys know him as Twig or young Terry Silver in Cobra Kai seasons 3 through 6. It is my pleasure to introduce and have with us today Nick Marini. Nick, how are you today?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for the intro.
Of course. I don't know how familiar you are with my channel, but it's a really big honor to have you here today because I don't know if you know this, but you're actually part of one of the thumbnails of one of my most viewed videos.
Oh, well, pleasure is all mine.
So when Terry Silver or Thomas made his return in season 4, I did a character analysis called, why Terry Silver is terrifying, and I think like your flashback scene in season 4 was really, really great to his character, and kind of solidified like how Terry was like right after the war, but before, he went all cocaine Terry. So I thought, from Man to Monsters.
When I was looking you up, I found this video and I had already watched it.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh man, that means a lot. For me, it's because I also watched your interview with Ken Cole, who's a really good friend of mine. I've collabed with him as well,
Oh, awesome.
And I noticed you watched his videos for research too. So that's big honor.
Well, the cool thing about being in a project that has a dedicated fan base is if you have to do research, a lot of the time they've done half of it for you. So
yeah, definitely, it's really cool to have you on here. While we're on the topic of Cobra Kai, it's kind of related because I've read that one of your favorite characters or favorite films was Hook. Favorite character was Rufio.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to meet Dante Basco yet?
I have not.
Oh, man,
I know some people who know him, I think.
Yes.
But I have not. But I think I would. I don't know how you meet someone and go like, "You are how I define being cool" for a long time.
Right. Yeah. No, that's totally fair. Yeah, it's definitely the reason I bring it up because I don't know if you've seen Awesome Asian Bad Guys, but he was in it with Yuji Okumoto, who plays Chozen.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and Tamlin Tomita was also in there, another Karate Kid alumni as well.
Oh,
So
very cool.
It's a really very awesome independent film. It has, of course, Tamlin, Yuji. Man, there's another guy I can't think of his name, but yeah, definitely. So you also mentioned, I could be mistaken, but you're a little bit of a gamer too. Is that correct?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I was kind of curious because I was looking at some of your previous interviews, and I believed you interviewed with Sledgehammer Horror, and you mentioned one of your favorite horror films was Nosferatu. So I was wondering if you had ever played Nosferatu for the Super Nintendo. It was like this very obscure, like beat 'em up, but you could go around. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I did not. That sounds dope.
Yeah.
Now, part of the reason I said Nosferatu is one of my favorite horror films is because I don't watch a lot of horror films because they stress me out.
That's fair.
Have you ever seen Liar Liar with Jim Carrey?
Yes, one of my favorite films.
It's a great film, not a horror film, but it gives me the same stress as a lot of horror films do, which is like, no, don't do the thing. No, you did the thing. Like it just stresses me out. Right. So I don't watch a ton of horror, but Nosferatu is a great movie, and I'm excited. There is a new one, or it's just coming out.
I think so, and you might be right. Yeah. Definitely have to check that out. Yeah, it's a very. If you ever get a chance to like Google the game, it was like kind of very obscure because instead of being very Castlevania-esque, it kind of looked like and felt like Prince of Persia because you would have the same kind of platforming.
Yeah.
But the protagonist was he's rescuing his girlfriend from Nosferatu or Dracula, but he's using martial arts. So I thought it was kind of a funny tie-in. So.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I do have to also ask though. So you worked with Jason Alexander on Hit the Road.
Yeah.
And for me, I know a lot of people know him from Seinfeld, but I knew him from Dunstan Checks In. I also knew him from Shallow Hal, some other works that he was in. What was it like working with Jason?
It was awesome. I think I learned a lot about leadership and being a leader on set from him. Um, you know, he is a level of fame where like even people we've been working with for weeks or months would sometimes be like, "Hey George, Jason." Like he played such an iconic character. But from the moment I met him, I mean, I auditioned for it, had a really good audition, felt like, hey, maybe this was going to go my way, and then had a interview audition with him. He was super kind, super welcoming. I think I had like 7 more auditions for that project before I ended up booking it. But the things that just really stood out to me about him is he's incredibly smart, super thoughtful. He showed up the very first day on set. He had a binder with every single person, their name, a photo of them, and what they were doing, and he pretty much memorized it. And so he just introduced himself to everyone. He knew everyone's name. He just, I think, embodied what it means to like be the lead of a show. And I feel like I learned a lot just watching how he interacts with people, and keeping in mind he was producing it, he was starring in it. I think he wrote some of it. Like he was a busy man and still found time to just do all that. So I really respect him, and anytime I get to see him, I say, "What up, Dad?"
Yeah, that's so awesome to hear, especially you know. And one of the things I do appreciate about you know, Cobra Kai the show too is that it seems like a lot of the actors have that camaraderie like behind the scenes too. And I'll
Yeah,
definitely have some more questions for you about that later on. So to hear that you had that same camaraderie with Jason too, that's really awesome to hear.
yeah.
Do you feel like when you know actors are able to get along like behind the scenes, that really help like the on screen chemistry a little bit more as well too, in your experience?
I think it does. I think you have to be careful sometimes. Like my very first movie, a movie called Summer of Eight that I loved being in, I'm super proud of. But we had such a connection as through the process that like at the end of the movie it almost got rewritten because they didn't want to. Basically, my spoiler, not a big spoiler, but my character sort of leaves before everyone else,
Mm,
and which meant that I was gonna like leave 6 hours before the wrap ended. And there was such a camaraderie and such a feeling about the making of the project that they like were like, do we have him in the final scene? Do we like? And it was like, oh, sometimes, I think often having that chemistry really helps, but every once in a while it can sort of overwhelm the story if you're not being too careful.
right. Okay, that's very good to know. So your upcoming film, Dead, I will have to say, I think you have probably one of my favorite lines in the trailer, which is, "I can't abandon a pregnant woman at the exorcism, not
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 again.
again." So
I can't abandon a pregnant woman at an exorcism. Not again.
I got a little bit of behind the scene questions for you. So I also do cosplay
Oh,
outside
cool.
of like YouTube channel. I was curious about your tattoos for your character. How it
Hmm.
would like applied, just out of
Yeah, yeah.
curiosity.
So there is a company, I forget the name off the top of my head, though I just did meet 2 of the women who run it at a recent Dead premiere. But they were like classic stick, like wet 'em, hold 'em.
Ah, I see. Okay.
Uh, they the character, everyone in that movie is based on a real person. So the character that I am based on is uh, Isabella Roland's brother-in-law. Um, and in real life, he is fully tatted. But my favorite fact about him is his left arm. The tattoos are better because he's right-handed and he did them all. So, so the quality of tattoo on his left arm is better than on his right arm, which is just a perfect little factoid.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I wore those. We were trying to see if we could get them to stay longer,
Hmm.
and I happened to be going to a friend, my friend Velvetica, her show. She was playing a gig, and so I'm like at this music venue, and the guy goes to stamp my hand, but I had all these fake tattoos on, and so I did like there was this moment where I was like, I don't, where does he stamp? And then I sort of clocked him going like, surely someone with this many tattoos would know the answer to this question, and I felt like I was absolutely found out and a fraud in the moment.
Yeah. Okay, that's good to know. Are you familiar with the Yakuza or Like a Dragon
Yeah,
video game
yeah,
franchise? Okay, so 2 years ago at this anime convention called Anime Central, I cosplayed Kiryu, and we actually did a back tattoo on me. Very similar method. I got to see if I can find the picture here a
yeah.
little bit later. But yeah, so it was interesting because we had to, and my friend he cosplays Majima, and he did the full like
Wow.
shirtless tattoo and everything too. So what we ended up having to do, like for me, is we had to split the image into 4 sections and get tattoo
Mhm.
paper and apply it the same way. So when I saw, you had tattoos in the
Yeah.
trailer, I was just kind of curious about that. So
Yeah, we had to basically apply them every day or two.
oh yeah, for sure. This project is noted for being like a family, or like the behind the scenes, it's a lot of family involved in the
Mhm.
project. How I guess are you related to anybody in the cast, or how did you get to be a part of the production?
Yeah.
Assuming,
So I actually was on set of Cobra Kai when I got the call that they wanted me in the movie. Um, I was literally watching them take the camera off set after Barrett and I had filmed our final scene as young Kreese and young Silver, and I was sort of sitting there going like, man, this was an awesome journey. I can't believe it's over. And then my phone buzzed, and it was asking me if I wanted to be in the movie. And I was like, so her husband Brennan Lee Mulligan, uh, I have known since I was probably 12. We grew up LARPing together and playing Dungeons and Dragons together. Um, so I've spent time with her family. I was like, with her whole family during Christmas the year before, just because we all had that day together. So I was honored to become a little bit more part of the family.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. And then Brennan, yeah, because I was reading some information about you and Brennan, and you had played Dungeons and Dragons with him growing up, and both
Yeah,
him and Ashley Johnson, they actually commended your knowledge because you were able to quote things out of the players. Is it Handbook or Player's Guide? I always want to
yeah.
say
The
Player's
players
Guide.
handbook.
Handbook.
Now,
Okay.
now, I am pretty good about it. It would if anyone were to ever quiz me on like what page does this stuff appear on, it would have to be the 3.5 edition of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not going to purport to be able to do that in 5th edition. With 3.5, maybe I could do it.
Gotcha. Okay. And one other question I had about Dead is, going from Cobra Kai, which I'm assuming like, production of a series is a lot different, like to an indie film.
Yeah.
How would you describe like the atmosphere, I guess, of filming a production like that compared to maybe like a feature length
Yeah.
film
So
background? Yes.
I think that indies are generally a smaller crew, so there's just a lot less people, so it's a little more intimate in that regard. We were filming like in Iz's family home and her grandparents' home and her mom's boyfriend's home. It's sort of stepdad, but they're not. But all like amazing people. But we were like in people's homes. There was a very funny moment we were shooting in her grandparents' home where I walked into one of their rooms and there was a poster for a play that I like knew everyone on the play bill. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And they're like, oh, we produced that. And I was like, oh shit, I know all these people. Um, but it's very different. I would say. I mean, I will say for Dead, it was a really, really good group of people. Sometimes with indies or short films or like smaller projects, because they're lower budget, there's a little bit more just learning on the go or honing of technique that can result in like takes being redone just for technical reasons or for framing just for a variety of reasons that are part of the film process. And when you're on a set like Cobra Kai, though, it's like that's a well-oiled machine. And
Right.
what can be really fun about that is sort of when you're on an indie, there's room to play because it's like this intimate place. And then when you're on something like Cobra Kai, there's sometimes room to play because they're so efficient that like you can tell if you're like, oh, we've got everything that we've set out to get, so I can throw something in here, or I can like ask someone, what if I try this, and then the cameraman goes, oh, okay, and then they adjust, and so it's really fun. I mean, I love both experiences for different reasons, and you know, wherever I get to play, I'm pretty stoked about it.
That's awesome. What would I guess if somebody wants to go see this, film, and they definitely should. They definitely should support, Isabella, you as well, by seeing this film. What would they for this specific film? Is it like is it more comedy, more drama?
Oh
Like
yeah,
what's the
no, it's definitely a comedy, um, but it also has a real heart. I I think many people will laugh, will cry, will just it is such a talent. She wrote it. Her mom directs it, and is stars in it, and she just knocks it out of the park. There are a couple scenes that, there are plenty of scenes that have people laughing in their seats, but there's also some really moving moments, and her range and her talent is immense, and I'm just so stoked that I got to be a part of it, and it's ultimately a family comedy with a sort of fun, dark, not even dark, but a fun twist that I think is unique to this, and it's loosely based on her real life, and um, I just I really enjoy getting to be a part of it, and it's got a bunch of the funniest people in the world working on it.
yeah?
I'm talking
I
about
mean,
the dropout people. I'm not. I was just like, whoa! I got invited. Sick.
I would say that your line in that trailer still
Well, I
gets me.
appreciate it.
So yeah, it's yeah. I mean, me just seeing like the trailer for it too, because I was kind of researching it for the interview because I noticed it was your upcoming project. Yeah, I definitely deadthefilm.com. Is that where they can find
Yeah,
which theaters they're?
deadthefilm.com.
Okay, perfect. So
And people are so it's like totally indie. So really, just people on Instagram have been bullying their local theaters or kindly suggesting that they play it. And so I think when it was announced, it was in 15 theaters, and now it's in almost 200
oh wow,
in multiple countries. They've got screenings in London. It's like it's really blown up.
that's awesome.
So it's really cool.
Yeah,
Really proud of her.
for sure. And I do want to switch the gears for a little bit because we definitely got to talk about Critical Role and Dungeons and Dragons. Mainly, so for me, growing up, I was really more into gaming. But my friends who are big fans of the show, because I asked them about, Downfall,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, researching your role. But first, I just got to point out Downfall Part 1 through 3. This is the craziest like character team up because you have Blanca, you have Chun-Li, you have Terry Silver, you have Rain from Mortal Kombat, and you have Chrissy Seaver. Like that's just like such
Yeah.
so many like powerhouse of talent.
Yeah.
But before we jump to that, I have just because I'm curious, I'm sure other people are curious as well. Have you ever done like a Terry Silver campaign?
No, although I did the day that Downfall came out was also the day. I think it premiered a week after Cobra Kai did, but that meant because I think I'm in the second episode, so like
Yes.
my first episode of Downfall and my episode of Cobra Kai were on the same day. So as part of the promo for Downfall, Critical Role had released these like Aeorian passports. So I filled one out for Terry Silver, and I think he was
Oh, I
a
saw that.
rogue.
Yeah.
I think he was a rogue monk. Uh, yeah, I would love. I mean, I would love to like fully make a Cobra Kai role playing game, or at least do something like that. That would be super fun.
Exactly. Yeah, because it was I think there's also in season 5 there's a track where Stingray's playing with his friends called Dungeons and Dojos, a music track, and
Yeah,
so it all just ties in perfectly.
yeah,
Another quick shout out to another Cobra Kai cast member. I know you mainly worked with Barrett, but I don't
yeah.
know if you ever got a chance to meet Aedin Mincks, who plays Mitch.
I think briefly.
Okay.
It's very funny because we're always in the like we'd like see someone in a trailer walking by or like
Right.
I think after our first the stuff in Vietnam was the first time that I got to meet some of the main cast and they were all just super super kind, and because we were the last episode of that, William Zabka was walking around giving people wrap gifts, and he was really kind and gave us a couple because it was like, oh, you don't know us, but like that was just speaks to the generosity of the whole movie.
Yeah, he's really nice. I definitely got a picture with him I need to show you later as well.
Sick.
But the reason I was bringing up Aedin Mincks is I had him previously on the channel too, and he kind of falls into like some of the same interests we have because he's a
Ooh.
big Ren Fair guy, and we
Heck
also talked about Elden Scrolls because
Ooh, nice.
I think was it Oblivion, the remake that just came out.
Yeah,
That was and because of that I got back into Skyrim and I like logged on like
Oh,
100 hours.
I think when Skyrim came out, my Xbox was on for 3 straight days. Me and two of my buddies were just passing around the controller playing. There's one of my favorite photos is of one of my best friends, Vin. He's in my bed with his girlfriend asleep, nestled up to him with his arm around her, holding a controller, playing Skyrim. And I was like, we're in this deep. She had to come over to my house to be able to spend time with her boyfriend.
Man, do you have a favorite music track from Skyrim?
Ooh, that's a good question. The one that like I like some of the battle music, the like Dovahkiin chant thing.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I played a lot of Skyrim. I love that game.
Yeah, for me, Streets of Whiterun, which is usually kind of like in the cities, and then I think the one you're talking about is you're talking about when they're fighting a dragon, right?
Yeah.
It's I think the one they fear, which is like a slight variation of the main theme.
Sick.
Dragonborn.
I'm impressed that you know the names of the tracks.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah, if you get a chance, I also interviewed Zach and Leo, the composers as well, and same thing. We were just nerding out about like the soundtracks and like the the names of the stuff too. But yeah, some of my favorites. Here's a question because I really love like and I even read up your write up on Tumblr too about Ayden. So I really love and the reason I really love like your write up and stuff is that, and I haven't really mentioned this on the channel yet before, but so outside of the channel, I'm actually revisiting a video game idea I had when I was 13. So I'm kind of working on my own JRPG. So I really appreciate like like those that like flesh out like the characters and stuff like that. So a big question I have here is like, what parts of Ayden do you identify with?
I love that. Definitely his hope. The sun has always been like my first tattoo was of the rising sun, or the great eastern sun, which is the rising sun. And my car is a Volkswagen EOS, which is she's the goddess of the dawn. And I think with Ayden, I just instantly, like once I got the brief of what was going down, I just sort of instantly knew where I wanted to go with it. And I think that like, not to get too sort of esoteric or anything or large-minded, but something that I often think about is, there's this sort of idea that as we get older, we get more jaded and we get more, willing to accept the inequalities of life or the just the imbalances that occur in the world. And I've always sort of wondered why just because we're starting to feel that way, we think that's how it has to be as you age.
Right.
Like why can't we remember that youthful hope and let that fuel us moving forward? And so I think with Ayden, I was sort of exploring that a little bit, and I think in that particular story, the older, more wizened one knows what's going to happen, and they were right. But I think it's important to stoke that inner fire in that inner child.
Definitely. How long have you been working on that character? Because I remember also looking up you were on a college humor video with Brennan too, talking about Aedin, right?
No. Well,
Or
I sort of like, I think I referenced in the college humor. I like referenced stuff that that like made sense given what I ended up doing.
that's right.
But it
That's
was
right.
like
I remember.
totally, yeah,
Yeah.
it was totally on accident. I had no idea that I would ever be on Critical Role at that time. Um, but yeah, I definitely, it's clear that like I tend to percolate on ideas. So it doesn't surprise me that something I was sort of tangentially thinking about 5 years ago ended up sort of forming much later.
Gotcha. Okay. Were there any like personal experiences that like kind of like what made you kind of like write out Aedin how he was? Because for me, like the main character I'm kind of writing right now, it's definitely based on like a period of my life where it's very I guess coming of age, so to speak. So I'm
Yeah.
just kind of curious like how you approached
Yeah, for
writing Aedin.
sure. I mean, so I, uh, for middle school and high school, was at a Quaker school, which is like it's a pacifistic sort of version of Christianity. I was not Quaker. I was not baptized in anything, but I was educated at this Quaker school,
Right.
and so peace and pacifism is sort of their core tenet and their core belief, and that there is light in everyone. And light to them is just as that divine spark. So I think that definitely informed Aedin. I think until the very last fight in Downfall, he doesn't even attack anyone.
Right.
And then he sort of pops off. But um, but yeah, I think we're always, when we're making characters or writing characters or playing characters, I think it's, you want to draw on your own interests and experiences, and also maybe use them as an opportunity to explore things differently than you did,
Right.
or explore things in a safer environment. You know, if there's something that you're sort of struggling with internally, sometimes making or exploring a character that is going through something similar lets you sort of experience it to a lesser degree and sort of gain your bearings. But yeah, I think I'll be interested to see what your perspective is after sort of
Oh yeah.
after create finishing.
For sure.
But yeah, I think we can't help but draw on that stuff, and we shouldn't be afraid to.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of this quote that me and my friends kind of share with each other sometimes is being who you are now, you're trying to be who your younger self needed, especially
Hmm,
like in terms of growth. So that's
I like that.
it really reminded me of that. So obviously we talked about briefly with Brennan. How did that initial conversation start of like, hey, we want you to be on Critical Role for Downfall?
I was at my dad's in Philly. I live in LA, but I was visiting my dad, and I got a text that said, "Yo, check your email." And there was an email from Critical Role sitting in my email box that just said, "If Brennan's vouching for you, you're good on our end, and you want to do this." And I was like, "Hell yeah, I want to do this." And I think it's possible that I knew what the sort of overarching story was going to be a little bit before everyone else. Like, so I maybe had a head start on like thinking about what god I wanted to be, uh, and I was up. There were many nights where I was just poring over rules and classes, figuring out what the heck I was going to do, because I knew I knew it was like, well, if I got one opportunity to play on Critical Role and I get to do it in the most busted way possible, I'm gonna theory craft the bejesus out of this.
If you're allowed to say, any plans that you'll be in a future episode?
I have no idea.
Not sure. Okay.
You know, I think they just brought in a bunch of new people, a bunch of awesome people. I think, speaking of Nosferatu, Alex Ward is I think Nosferatu, in the new one, which I think came out already, but I'll have to double check that.
Yeah, same.
And then Abria is the best. I just love her to death. Luis is awesome. So they just brought in, and I don't know Whitney personally, but I've only heard good things. So they just brought in a bunch of awesome new people to take part. You know, if I get to play in that universe again, I'll always be stoked about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, because one of the friends that I mentioned earlier that was talking about Critical Role with, so they actually got me into playing Dungeons and Dragons. Well, my first ever game. I'm not saying like, because I haven't played consistently since then,
Mm-hmm.
but we played I think 2 or 3 sessions, and this was like 2017, 2018.
Heck yeah!
But she cosplayed as Fern
Oh,
at
awesome.
a Ren Fair once, and I forgot what character her husband was, but he was also on Critical Role. So I was definitely kind of like, you know, they were kind of giving me some backstory too, because you were also like with Downfall. I keep want to say Daggerfall because of the Elder Scrolls, but Downfall was one of the most successful miniseries too. So like, you know, to be part of that,
it was a real honor, and it was a real blast. It's when, you know, it's so interesting because like Cobra Kai and Downfall are both these like huge IPs,
right?
And it's so interesting getting to play these little parts in them and feel both the similarities and the differences. And like, you know, the fans of both are so excited about it and so knowledgeable and so passionate. And with Cobra Kai, you know, I'm reading lines. So I'm there's people making decisions, and I'm just sort of a part of it. Whereas with Critical Role, it's like I've never done actual play. I'm improvising, and I'm playing like the head of the pantheon, basically. And anything I could say could drastically alter the fundamental nature of the world's greatest living story.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God, I better not mess this up. So if I ever get to go back on Critical Role, I would love to play a just absolute nobody, or just someone who just is like, you know, whatever happens, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
I can't mess this up.
Now, I haven't watched the campaign in its entirety, but I was, you know, watching some of, you know, your moments too. And especially near the end, your theater chops are on display, man. I saw them. It was just,
I appreciate it.
It was
Yeah,
really,
I feel
really
like
cool.
I got to lock in towards the end there.
Yeah.
And just getting to, you know, Brennan is such an amazing scene partner, and I've spent my life telling stories with that dude. So once I got into my comfort zone, it just felt like we were back in his mom's dining room, rolling dice and eating pizza.
That's awesome. How has working on Downfall, how has that like influenced your acting work like since then?
I'd love to say that it's made all the difference. But I think the biggest thing I think truly is that it actually, in conjunction with Dead, really reminded me how much I love improv. And I had sort of been so focused on film and television and theater that I hadn't really looked in that direction in a long time. And I guess because I was playing playing D&D with Bren just personally, I was sort of getting that little outlet. And then our 15-year campaign ended, and suddenly I was like, wait a minute, I'm not doing my favorite thing all the time, or not all the time, but even at all. And so I think that Downfall really it not only reinvigorated my love of improv and just my desire to get back in shape in that regard. But also I think it was really cool to sort of see the actual play art form from the inside, because I had watched stuff, but I hadn't like this Critical Role Campaign 4 will be the first time I get to sort of, I will probably watch the whole thing, and it's like realizing that like that spot down the road is like actually a way doper restaurant than you realized. And like I don't know, it just I think it woke me up to something that I knew existed but hadn't explored enough. And I definitely caught the bug and would love to do more of it.
You know, I can relate to that because, you know, because of Cobra Kai season 6 part 1 and 2, I finally jumped into martial arts. I had taken karate when I was younger, and you know, and I got to talk with both Brandon and Brandon H. Lee, who plays Quan, and Daniel J. Kim, who plays Yoon, about how they kind of influenced me to do Taekwondo. I actually just passed my test last week at the cost of a sprained ankle.
So, well, congrats!
Yeah,
congrats!
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I'm a green belt black stripe now, so I'm kind of almost about halfway through.
Dope.
Yeah. So, no, it's in. Especially when you can kind of ground yourself again with something that you love and just something that kind of benefits your growth too, because you know, my grandmaster, he kind of is very like also Miyagi like too, and that's really, you know, you really get a good teacher, it really brings out, you know, the self-respect, the confidence, you know, all those things.
It's humbling but also invigorating. There's a great quote I have actually right here from something my mom gave me. It's a Serbian proverb, but it says, "Be humble, for you are made of earth. Be noble, for you are made of stars." And that sort of reminds me of it. Whenever you're doing something that is physically or mentally taxing, but that you're progressing, you're learning, it humbles you because you realize how much there is to learn, but it also invigorates you because it's that progress is so clear. You know, you can track like, oh, I'm rolling better than I was, or I'm striking better than I was, or I'm more flexible, or I commend that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. While we're on the subject, let's talk about Cobra Kai. I've got like a behind the scenes question for it's really not that important. I'm just kind of curious. So both you and Thomas have different eye color.
Yeah.
Was it? I mean, obviously, I know like the first flashback, they had a ponytail to kind of throw people off, and then you know it's eventually revealed that Twig is Terry. But I guess was there a plan for you to wear contacts, or did it just not happen? Or
I honestly think that there was a miscommunication, and I think that the Twig ponytail switcheroo got even people on the production side of things. Because it was pointed out to me that I did not have green eyes. And I said, yeah, I know. I thought you were going to do something about that. So I think that was a thing that didn't happen day one, and if it didn't happen day one, it wasn't going to happen. My little inside joke is that I had some sort of radiation poisoning at some point from dumping all Dynatox's toxic materials, and it changes the color of my eyes. But that's certainly not canon.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm kind of curious. So earlier you might have seen me kind of bring up a video clip. I don't know if you've seen, but I did another follow-up on Terry Silver for season 5, and it actually talks about the flashback. So in Ken Cole's interview, you know, when you were talking about Terry would toss down the magazine because he just doesn't care. He's in the toxic weight business. Yeah. I kind of interviewed. Well, I have a couple questions if you're cool with checking out this clip with me. So, okay, let me bring it up here. This section of the video, it's a 2-minute section, and I'd like to get your insight about this too after we watch it. But it's called. I'm basically answering the question: what I think Terry Silver's weakness is as well. So let me...
He does, and it's not John Kreese, it's his ego. This most likely started all the way back with John Kreese, and as I mentioned in my previous video, is the person that is responsible for this monster. It seems with a closer look that part of his problems with his ego is that he was jealous of Johnny Lawrence. This is evident when being told to refrain from beating Lawrence any further by Kreese, and after the All Valley, he suspects that Kreese brought him back just to get even with Johnny. If you think about it, Johnny is also the reason why Cobra Kai did not enter the Sekai Takai back in 1980. When Kreese explains why he wants to focus on a student and mentions that a student shares the same name as him, you can tell during this explanation that Silver has a mixed reaction, but ultimately decides to follow his captain's lead. This jealousy is also subtly explored in Head of the Snake, where after Chozen's defeat, he tells Johnny that while Kreese proudly claimed Lawrence was his best student, he never saw it. This would also explain Terry's look of daggers to both Johnny and Daniel as he's being arrested. Even with having resources that could give everyone everything, Silver's smile fades when Joe tells him that he's not interested, almost insulted as any other applicant would want the job, again demonstrating his ego problem. I'd like to believe when claiming he'll pay triple for anyone that can take down Chozen, this is the angrier Terry we've seen in comparison to some moments in Season 4, disgusted that someone would use his own tactics against him, and why he was surprised at Chozen's toast, realizing he almost got played. As Taguchi draws a line both through action and dialogue, we can see the confidence slowly fading from Terry, even with the look of disbelief as the Miyagi-Do sensei exits. He tries to keep a facade when continuously being shut down on his offers to partner with the Sekai Takai board, and he struggles to keep this up when Miyagi-Fang arrives and disproves his lies. Note the expressions on his face: surprise, offended, determined, anger, disgust, and right before the scene switches from the title, he quickly tries to put a smile back on. Kim Da-eun chastises him for letting this rivalry get in the way, and despite his lying about it, as he told Sensei Joe that he relished in getting the last laugh over Daniel, who he still considered his rival, he is still pissed that Da-eun thinks he's not prepared as he's being scolded. Another example of Silver being obsessed with this rivalry is that when convincing Tori she won the tournament, is that he says, "You're the champion. I know it, LaRusso knows it, the whole valley knows it," implying that it was about rubbing it in Daniel's face. When Gunther informs both dojos that they will have to fight to gain entry into the tournament, he looks surprised and shocked that he has to put his dojo through this. Again, when trying to convince his students that Miyagi-Fang is in the wrong, Terry's desperation is on display for all to see. He in a way now feels the same way when he gaslit his victims. Without others falling for his mind games, he has nothing, and his confidence is nothing but an act.
Okay, so I got a couple questions here. So I kind of interpreted the magazine scene differently. But I like your interpretation too, because I never thought about he's obviously in the toxic waste business. He doesn't, he's just gonna throw the magazine down on the ground. Do you think Terry was jealous of Johnny in some ways?
I think it's a really complicated relationship, because I think it, trying to hit, it's interesting trying to hit an arc to a place when you don't know all the stops you're going to get to take as an actor.
Right.
So we never had all I knew is that was probably going to get to come do more stuff. Mm-hmm. So but I never knew how many more times I was going to come back.
Sure.
And I never, so to me, there is jealousy, I think, a little bit, but there's also deep respect. There's also the just the unit mentality of this is we served in a war together. You right. Die if you don't work cohesively. But then I think that the Terry Silver we know and love really starts to become who he is post the war. Because Kreese doesn't really make anything of himself. Here's this guy that I've been following, mm-hmm. that I've envied, that I've looked up to, that I've saved his life and he's saved mine. Cobra Kai, strike first, strike hard, no mercy. Well, I'm out here striking hard, striking first, no mercy all the time. I'm a cutthroat businessman. I'm taking our philosophy and applying it across the board. you're a kind of washed karate teacher. And I don't think that Terry ever really, he doesn't necessarily vocalize that. And he does his best to support him. You know, he welcomes him when he comes to his mansion in Karate Kid 3. You know, he sends him to Tahiti. He plays the part, but I think there's this dawning realization that, like, maybe I should have been the top dog. Maybe I should have. Maybe the least Cobra Kai I've ever been was when I didn't say, I'm alpha, not you.
You should have stayed in your cage, as Thomas said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think that I totally agree with that sort of video essay of, like, his ego is a weakness, but I think his ego becomes his weakness in part because Kreese was his weakness. Because he was weak when he first met Kreese. And Kreese is a reminder that he used to be weak.
I had not thought about that. That's a good point. See, I could do this all day with, like, I love having conversations like this. I've always wanted to, because of the work that I do. I'm like, what are how the actors see it? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to say that real quick.
But I mean, I think what's so fun too is like just because we see it one way doesn't mean that the person listening or watching takes it that way. And you know, I like to talk about this kind of, I love to talk about this kind of stuff. There's also sometimes moments where you're like, well, maybe just, like, it's however you, like, someone asked me about, like, all the, like, Terry Silver, John Kreese fanfic. And I was like, listen, you do you. If that's your thing, right. I'm not gonna stand in your way of that. It's not, but to each their own, and to everyone else's, however people want to interpret it. I think that a story's job is to plant these seeds in your mind, and then to surprise you or reinforce some, and it's up to each person how they sort of ultimately interpret it, which is what's exciting about it. And I think, you were sort of talking about, like, from a perspective of creating character or working on a game where you're creating character. I think that, like, where I get bogged down sometimes by myself is, like, wanting to have the answer. And obviously there's certain things you need the answer to, but there's a lot of things in our own lives that we don't really have the answer to. Why did I react so angrily when that dude cut me off in traffic? Is it just because it was annoying? Is it because I have some deep seated, like, there's a million things that you go through that you don't have a clear, like, oh, I did this because that kid bullied me when I was 4. It's like there's not always an answer, or not a clean one. And I think that can be exciting too as a storyteller, because that can let the audience sort of grasp at what they understand.
Gotcha. Okay. And here's something. So I'm also working on the final Terry Silver video, which is another reason why I'm glad I got you here today. So I kind of want because it's never really kind of, like, explained, but I'll kind of, like, the scene I'm talking about is when you were in the flashback, when you were trying to tell John, hey, stay out of it, with Master Kim Sung-young and Kim Da-eun. So you give this look to daggers at John when Master Kim Sung-young says something about, like, hey, you forgot what it means what no mercy actually means. My interpretation is just that, like, maybe he's mad because, like, hey, John doesn't believe this philosophy. Maybe that's foreshadowing. Or is it because of what he's learned from Master Kim Sung-young? Hey, don't disrespect the master. Since you were playing Scary Terry, as I affectionately like to call him, what was going through your mind, I guess, in that specific, even though it's a really brief shot, the fact that they focus on your shot, I still think it's important.
No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there is a level of, like, because I often think too of, like, when I'm thinking about Terry Silver, I think about we were talking about ego, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his ego, I think he is a firm believer in Cobra Kai, right? In strike first, strike hard, no mercy. But did I say that in a different order earlier in this interview? I'm gonna get
I'm not sure.
crucified.
I guess we'll find out. Yeah.
We'll find out. Yeah. But he also has the Quicksilver method.
Right.
Right. If a man can't stand, he can't fight. If he can't breathe, he can't fight. Right. He's got his ego is even added his little version of stuff to Cobra Kai. But I think in that moment, it's not just that it's weakness, but it's Kreese is looking out for someone who isn't Silver. It was always the two of them. You know, Kreese saves Silver in Vietnam. Kreese looks out for Silver. And so Silver looks out for Kreese. And then suddenly we're at our peak. We're you know, in probably the peak of our martial arts, you know, training. And he's showing, not only is he showing weakness by showing mercy, but he's showing it to someone who's not me.
Mm.
And I think that rubs Silver the wrong way. I think he's pissed that he's like putting them in a position to get in trouble and like to have this, you know, to have Sensei come down on us. But I think it's also like, I don't care about that little girl who's lovely in real life. She's amazing. I love her.
Yeah.
But it's like, whoa. And I think that's why he takes her, right? That's why when we flash forward, she's now on, Silver shows up with her. Because he had to have them. He couldn't let Kreese's mercy mean that she's with him.
Right.
It's
Gotcha.
messed up.
Yeah.
He's a real bad dude sometimes.
Yeah. You know, the Cobra Kai, though, I will say that the one thing Terry Silver was right about, which I think is probably one of the greatest quotes he's ever said, is life's not fair. It's a competitive sport. Because that can apply to a lot of things. And you know, that's something I've kind of like discussed early on, because like the very first character analysis was why Johnny Lawrence is the better sensei, because the way and even up until this point, but how the big three were really handling Johnny and Daniel is, I don't know if you ever noticed this, but Johnny was modeled at, or at least his, you know, now his sensei form had all these parallels with Miyagi, while Daniel had all these parallels with Sato.
Wow. Yeah.
Because you like just just to kind of like, for example, counterbalance, you know, Daniel always wearing the big suits. He's you know, rich now because a lot of people think, oh, it's just a flipping of Karate Kid 1. No, it's Sato, because remember in Karate Kid Part 2, Sato was like, I will destroy this village unless you fight me. And now Daniel's willing to put Johnny out of business because hey, we're done, you know, we're done here. And you know, that's what I really liked. Like even like flash forwarding to season 6 part 2, which and I'm not trying to stroke my ego here, but like they even did almost the complications at birth with Carmen. If you remember, that's how Miyagi lost his wife and kid in the war. And I was kind of like, I even predicted that, like at the end of season 5, I was like, it'd be kind of messed up if they did this, but look, I'm not trusting.
They're so good at like weaving it all together.
Right. Exactly. I also wanted to say too, especially with, you know, the flashback scene you did in season 4, where you're like, I don't know if I can ever go back to a normal life. I really respected your portrayal there because, and I've talked about this in my video, so it's nothing too new, but I have PTSD from, unfortunately, I was in an abusive relationship. So, but I just want to say, like, you really portrayed that so accurately. So I was kind of curious, Like, is that something you studied? Like, how veterans, deal with PTSD, or because like you like, that delivery of like, hey, I don't know if I can go back to a normal life. It was just like, it was so respectfully done. So I'm just kind of curious if that would like that
means a
specific
lot.
scene.
And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that with me.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I for a long time, one of my best friends who I lived with is a veteran. So
I see.
I had spoken with him quite a bit. I was on the phone with him he was showing me how to do all the military stuff I was going to have to do when we did the Vietnam stuff, but had also had plenty of much more sort of intense conversations just about the nature of PTSD
Right.
or that kind of stuff. One of my best friends growing up, his father had served, and we weren't allowed to play like Call of Duty in the house because he just the audio really.
Right.
And I just think that whenever you're dealing with the sort of job of an actor is to be empathetic to the human experience, whatever that means.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't mean that the character has to be empathetic. I don't think Terry Silver is very empathetic, but it just means that you have to honor the things that people go through. And I think I learned a lot. On my first television gig, I played was on Chicago Med, and I was a heroin addicted victim of sex trafficking who was suicidal, which was a pretty intense role.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did a lot of research for that, and I think that probably a lot of that research probably informed some of that other stuff, just in terms of how these experiences, how these physically or emotionally or whatever sort of abuse or trauma or anything that is going on, how it can sort of reverberate and how even people who are seemingly over it, just there are moments where it's never truly gone. It's just
Yeah, no, it just the fact that that scene really kind of showed like, the vulnerability. I mean, obviously we saw vulnerability in Vietnam, but like I think that was a really good scene to show the vulnerability of Silver, especially like, hey, now how are you adjusting after the war, after all that stuff's going on, and not to mention too, it was like a really nice reminder of the pact that they made, like back then too. So
yeah, no, I love the character, and I any chance to explore that character, I think is so fun, especially with like, I feel like there's so much more of his journey left to explore. But we'll leave it up to the fans to figure out how he gets there.
So here's a fun question I got for you. Top 5 songs on Terry Silver's playlist in the 70s or 80s. You can only use those two time periods. Yeah.
Top well, there's that the classic Vietnam song,
Fortunate Son?
Yeah, Fortunate Son,
okay.
Gotta be up there. You're I can tell that you're a deep appreciator of music.
Oh yeah, I actually play drums.
Oh, sick.
I just got back into it, but yeah,
heck yeah,
I grew up with music, so yeah.
I'm trying to think of like some snarky answers to this. I feel like also though, like I think Terry Silver likes like classical music.
Oh yeah, because that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no. We see him play it. I think you probably know better than I do.
Oh, La Campanella, I think is the piano piece. But also there's I forgot the name of the track, but there's a specific harpsichord. Actually, I'm gonna look it up right here, real quick. On the Karate Kid 3 soundtrack, it plays when Mike Barnes is visiting. You hear like this harpsichord piece in the background, and it's like a bonus track. Harpsichord of Doom.
Okay. Now you said 70s, right?
70s or 80. It can be.
Okay.
Sorry,
I
I forgot to add context. Training playlist
Oh, training playlist. Oh man.
or character playlist is fine.
I was gonna say don't stop till you get enough because there's never enough for Terry Silver. Let's see.
That's a good choice though, because I could see him in the bathroom doing lines to that song.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Maybe I could see him liking some Dire Straits. Cocaine.
mhm.
Cocaine by the Dire Straits.
There you go.
If you want to get down and have a good time, cocaine.
Yeah.
Not a PSA for any children watching.
Right.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
But if people say that songs nowadays are explicit, that's about as explicit as it gets.
Yeah.
What else?
Money for Nothing. That would kind of fit his character.
I like that. What about? I feel like he could be into some. This is a good question.
It's one of my favorite questions to ask all the cast members. I've asked a lot of them so far.
I love
for the playlist. So.
Staying Alive, maybe just because I love that song.
Okay.
Psycho Killer.
Wait, who's that by?
Is that Talking Heads?
Maybe.
Please.
I don't think I've heard of it.
I think it's Talking.
Yeah. So.
I feel like he might be into some Talking Heads too.
Okay.
I think Terry was not part of the hippie movement.
Yeah, that's right.
He had the hair for it, but I think he was taking all their money.
Yeah, that's fair. Speaking of which, I know you mentioned in some previous interviews you got to grow out your hair for how long did it take you?
Well,
Like film, I guess.
COVID was boo,
right?
But when you shoot right before that, and then it happens, and I just didn't cut my hair for all. I was just like, cool. I'm not gonna cut my hair. I think I'm coming back for Cobra Kai. I think they'll want me to have a ponytail, and I was turned out to be right. But it was about, it was at least a year and a half, I would think.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah.
Because trying to think. Yeah, I think it was probably a year and a half. I could probably go back and look, but.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because I've had my hair growing out for a long time because I'm actually going to be meeting some of the castmates a couple of weeks from now. And what happened, I was supposed to meet him at a convention earlier this year, but I just kept growing my hair out because I cosplay Miyagi. So that's kind of why I'm having my hair grow out, but I'm just so tired of it at this point. And me and my fiance, we tried to figure out, see if I could do the silver ponytail, but I'm not quite there yet. So I was just kind of curious at that.
Once I got to the length where I could do the silver ponytail, it was good. But there was a period where I, for some reason, was doing the like half ponytail, but like still hair down. And when I see photos of that, I'm like, why didn't every person in my life who loves me and cares about me tell me that was not the look? That I should not have done that. I liked having the hair though. It was fun.
Yeah, for sure. What fight would you recreate from if you were able to play 85 Terry? What fight would you like to recreate?
I love the fight in the dojo at the end of Karate Kid 3 with the paint and everything. His little psycho look of just like I love it. I love it so much because there's something about that fight that's like, I always got the feeling that like Silver wasn't necessarily trying to win. He was messing around. And that doesn't mean it doesn't mean the end result would have been different necessarily. But I think he's relishing the fact that he even got Miyagi to like do stuff. And I love that scene. Plus, gosh, Thomas Ian Griffith is
oh yeah,
he's so talented.
Definitely. I don't know if you saw, but so right after season 6 part 1, they came out with a game called Karate Kid Street Rumble.
I saw that.
Yeah. Have you seen like any like footage of like the playthrough of the game or no?
I've seen a little bit.
Okay, so that level that you're for that scene in the movie, you actually fight all these fake Terrys as you're
sick.
walking through the dojo and then going through the end. Then you do the recreate the fight. So
I also really just like when we first see him and he's like got the boxing gloves on,
mm-hmm.
and I just Johnny.
Yeah,
I always love that. That's sort of how, I would always sort of say that before like the night before. I said, Johnny.
Oh yeah, I know you also noticed you borrowed the like. I like that like during the tattoo scene. Yeah, exactly. Do you still keep in touch with Barrett?
Yeah, we he sent me a hilarious Lord of the Rings meme the other day because he knows I love that.
Awesome.
And when the Indiana Jones video game was announced, we talked more than that, but we know each other's favorite things. He's a great dude. I had a lot of fun getting to work with him.
Yeah, you guys had some really great scenes together. So it's awesome to see that.
Well, you asked that question earlier about like chemistry too,
right?
And it's just like we just like got along, and it makes it when you have to do a bunch of stuff with someone who you just sort of instantly get along with. It's really makes it a much more enjoyable experience.
No, definitely, for sure. Before we get to the fan questions, my final question for you regarding Terry Silver: what was the toughest scene to film out of all the scenes that you've had to film as Terry?
Well, the fight scene that we got to do in Korea, the very first thing that happened that day was I started to warm up and instantly slipped on the cold, wet ground and fell over.
Ooh.
And the whole crew was like, and I was like, I'm fine. I just feel like an idiot. But I think, honestly, maybe the Vietnam, like it was raining when we shot the Vietnam stuff, like actually. Mm-hmm. So we were just like in t-shirts in a cage soaking wet for a while, which sucked. I seem to remember, well, I know that after we shot the fight scene, both Barrett and I asked our lovely driver to pull over to CVS so we could get Epsom salts. Because both of our legs were like, oh wow. I think I was training for a marathon at the time and was very confident that I'd be fine, and then was absolutely not. Kicking and running are very different.
Oh yeah. See, I learned the hard way too when I started doing Taekwondo, like because you just sweat so much, and if I don't have liquid IV like before and a Gatorade after the session, like my calves will cramp up in the middle of the night, and it sucks so bad. And I've had it unfortunate where they both cramped up. Ooh. So like trying to go to the restroom next day, like crawling. Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah. So no, it's really crazy. So one thing I wanted to show here is Ms. Miyagi with Ralph.
Hell yeah.
There's with Billy as well.
Oh, these are great.
Yeah. So I don't know if you can kind of see it back here, but that's the bonsai that he signed to.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
Along with some other, what's getting caught here? Oh, my arm. Some other thing. I have the season 3 CD when Zach and Leo were doing giveaways. Or not, not giveaway. It was if you had pre-ordered the season 3 CD, you had a chance for them to get it signed. I was lucky enough to get it signed. And
awesome.
Also, hold on one second.
If we're doing Cobra Kai paraphernalia, I've got my pillows.
Sorry, what were you saying? I heard something about pillow. That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then I've got this dope that Billy gave us.
Yes.
And it reverses for the eagle fang. But I've also got this sick belt buckle.
I saw that on one of your, I think it was your Instagram post.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found that at a music festival and was like, well, I gotta get that. Oh, fire!
Yeah. I got
sick.
Yeah, this was when they did the season 5 run, and then I have Chozen back here, or
heck
on
yeah,
the ground now. But yeah, my friend, thankfully, because like they're like kind of expensive now, but my friend got them for me, that one, and Chozen, very decently priced at a resale shop. So
dope.
We do have some fan questions as well. I was like, hey, post your fan questions. Blue Boy the Nerd wanted to know, who else did you audition for before landing the role of young Terry Silver?
I think they had us all audition for young Kreese, and then sort of figured out who they thought was better for which.
Gotcha.
But that would be it.
Okay.
It was also one of those things where like my agent called and was like, "You booked it," and I was like, "Cool. What are we talking about?" It was like a month later or something. You know, I was like, "It's sick. I've done a bunch of auditions since then."
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was. My older brother is a huge Karate Kid fan, so I was very excited.
Yeah, I've listened to your other interviews where he would show y'all, or he would show you Karate Kid Part 3, right? Was it?
He's like, I think I watched Karate Kid with him probably for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
He was always into it because he's 12 years older, so it was like very much his era.
I see. And so for me too, like another thing, I forgot to mention this earlier with Critical Role, but like what's also really crazy full circle about this is that when I mentioned Chrissy Seaver, that was a show I watched on Disney Channel growing up, along with, because they showed Karate Kid Part 3 and Next Karate Kid.
Oh, sick.
So this is all, it's
yeah,
crazy full circle. I didn't get to answer this question, but also really good fan question from Ice Lord 1726. Outside of Terry and Kreese, who's your favorite Cobra Kai character?
Outside of Terry and Kreese, I mean, I love Johnny. The fact that Cobra Kai opens with him just beating up some high schoolers, I was laughing, and I was like, I am so excited to be a part of this show. I just thought it was so funny. I also really like Miguel's grandma.
Oh yes,
she's
Rosa.
great. Yeah, and lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those. Yeah, I mean, how can you not love John?
Yeah, it's and so the last person I interviewed too, Shiro Nobunaga. His scene, he was supposed to be in Karate Kid Legends. He was the double for Miyagi, and his scene got cut. And they were supposed to do this scene. Have you seen the movie or no?
I have not.
Okay, but that's okay. I was gonna say spoilers, but they already talked about it in the trailer. But so I mean, obviously, Han and Daniel were working together, so there was supposed to be a scene where it was flashing back to 1985 or 86, where Han would visit the Miyagi dojo and they would have dinner together. And that was the scene that got cut. And I thought, I was like, man, they should have kind of kept that in there because it really would have tied
That'd be cool.
the story together. So, but yeah, that's, I can't remember why I brought that up, but anyway, that's something I was going to ask about. S Raimi 004. You kind of, but just in case, I've watched some of your interviews, but just in case, they hadn't seen any of your interviews before. From the time you got the part to the production, did you have to cram it all in, getting to know the lore, to observing how Terry Silver was portrayed? And the other question they ask, are you a Miyagi or Cobra Kai?
Well, what kind of Cobra Kai never dies, baby. No, I think Nick Marini is probably much more Miyagi though. But you'll never hear me say that again. Yeah, I for sure. I was like, someone made this crazy edit of just all Terry Silver's scenes on YouTube, and I think there's like a few weird editing things they do to avoid like copyright.
Oh yeah.
So there's like the scene where like Terry Silver jumps out I've
seen that. I know that exactly what you're talking about.
Like, so many times, because like every time I'm about to shoot, I watch that compilation video of Terry Silver.
Is it the one where he Daniel asks him like, hey, why do I have to do this? And then Terry's just like staring at it, like cuts to him just staring at Daniel.
Is that and it's it's a great. I'm sure I have it saved actually. Film Terry Silver Karate Kid 3.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Yeah, it's a great video. I've let's see how many views does this video have? Half of them are probably me. It has 1.6 million views, so half of those are not me. I will confirm that.
But it's been around what, like 15 years?
It's 8 years ago. Had to edit some things out because of copyright.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, for it's just the Terry Silver Karate Kid 3.
Yeah.
My 90s wrestling boy. Shout out 90s wrestling boy. I watched your video a bunch.
Well, and I'm kind of curious about this too. EJB4229. What was the most memorable part of meeting Thomasine Griffith? Like something memorable he said to you, etc., or maybe like a piece of advice or a joke, even.
Well, he was just so. We had a phone call. I had gotten to meet him on set when we did the tattoo scene. So the first time we met him, I had like my shirt half off, and I was like, "Hi," like I'm sorry. But we had a phone call before the final season where I knew I was coming to do this flashback stuff, and I gave him a call because he had given me his contact details just in case, and
that's awesome.
Which was very generous, and I reached out because I was like, hey, this is a it's not really a flashback. It's this like dream sequence. And so I'm sort of talking about things that my Terry doesn't necessarily know about. And I just want to check in with you and he said, like, this is your character as much as it's mine, and you I'm not going to give you line readings, or we can talk about the character together, but he was really generous in that regard, and just to be such an iconic character, and then have me come in and be as gracious as he was with it was really cool experience.
Yeah, I heard he's really, really nice.
He's really nice.
Aside from the Terry Silver portrayal, so yeah, I'd love to meet him someday. What the scene you're talking about, was that where he's like, "You're all messed up, friend"?
It's in the the scene where, like, in the cave after Kreese
right
has gotten bitten by which, by the way, twice now I've been on set, and during this safety meeting in the morning, they go, the local hospital has extra doses of anti-venom, and you go, that's good, I guess.
Yeah. Oh man.
I don't love that my chances of being bitten by a poisonous snake have increased, but cool.
Yeah, you. That was another scene I forgot to mention earlier. You really kind of had the same, I would say, I guess you would call it Fang smile that Terry did. And shout out to Dallas Dupree Young. I got to interview him as well too. When he says that you're going to be in a world of pain, he has the same silver smile. Yeah, it's really classic. One final question. Let's see here. This is interesting because we'll end with it because it's a gamer question. I'm kind of curious what you think of this too. Joseph Caton says, "Would you like to see a Lego Karate Kid Saga video game encompassing all 6 films and Cobra Kai seasons 1 through 6?"
Heck yeah! Who doesn't love Lego?
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And I think it would be really fun because Cobra Kai can be very funny, and getting to lean into that aspect of it. I don't mean like funny, but I just like there's a lot of really fun humor that they sprinkle through Cobra Kai. And I think, getting to lean into that, I can only imagine that, like, the scene, Johnny would be like buried under pizza boxes at his house, or like, just right. I think that's a great idea. And Big 3, get on it.
Yes, please. They see, because like some people didn't like the first Cobra Kai game. I liked it. Like, if you're a big beat 'em up guy, it's perfect homage. It played really well. I think the only drawback that it didn't have was online play, and that was in the middle. It was also in the middle of the pandemic too. So it's just like we kind of need online play at least. Second one, good concept, just the next year. And I thought Street Rumble was pretty good too. I think that also suffered from a lack of online play, but I don't know if you played Shredder's Revenge. It was kind of in that same vein, but it was pretty good. So, but yeah, so Nick, thank you again, so much for taking time out of your day. This was really, really fun, and open invitation for you to come back. We'll definitely have to do it again sometime.
I'm looking forward to the third installment of the analysis.
Yes, for sure. And before we go, where can they find you on social media and anything else you want to plug?
Well, Dead the movie's out in theaters right now. If it's not in a theater near you, just tell an independent theater near you that it should be. That's how we've been getting in all these theaters in the first place. So thank you to everyone who's done that. You can find me most usually on Instagram, Nick A. Marini. I think I'm Nick Marini on Tumblr, where I see all that Cobra husband stuff. I'm lurking. Don't you forget it. But yeah, this was a blast, man. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. And everyone, thanks for tuning in. Stay beautiful, stay awesome. Catch you around next time.